Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel Wingenfeld, the Marketing and Programming Manager for the Chagrin Documentary Film Festival. Today, I'm joined by Lauren Coleman, the Director and Editor of How to Throw Your Own Goodbye Party. Lauren, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
He got the call at 6 in the morning.
Things were getting behind right out of the gate.
He was tail spinning out of control.
It was just crazy ideas one after another.
He just couldn't do it all, and he wanted to do it all.
That weekend was more than really what we thought it was.
He brought everyone to him so he could say bye.
This was like so I think, was it 5 years ago? It was recently the 5-year anniversary of the festival.
This past weekend, yeah.
So maybe you can share a little bit how you got, I guess, one, involved with the actual festival, and then two, how did it become the documentary it is?
So I met Josh because he was a musician and so was I. So he had actually booked my band for at least one show, and that's how we knew each other. And from that alone, he decided I was also looking for other work to do that was a little bit more stable. And he had come up with this idea for a festival. And so he basically got a small group together of people that he felt like he could work with. And none of us really had the experience of throwing a show or a festival on that scale at all. So to this day, we all wonder, like, why us? But we stuck with him through thick and thin, so maybe that's why. But yeah, so it started off very hopeful. He was like, we're gonna shut down this street and this street. And when you hear something that's too good to be true, like, I knew it was too good to be true, but I didn't realize how it would unravel. Basically we had planned a festival, and it was great for the year prior, but then the few months leading up is when he started to involve the city, which is just, if you ever want to throw a festival, you should do that much earlier. But I think, he was also battling a sickness at the time that none of us, I think, realized the severity of. And part of me wonders if he knew this was the only way to get this done the way he wanted to, because he was booking these incredibly large bands, like the Specials did their comeback thing, Squeeze, all these bands came to the streets of Long Beach. And so we put tickets on sale and then talked to the city. And so rightfully so, they were like, well, where exactly are you going to do this? Because our tickets just said Long Beach, and then we'll figure it out. And so immediately where Josh had wanted to do it, we couldn't do it there logistically. So we basically invaded another part of the community that was more of like a sleepier town and didn't want something that big happening. So it just became absolutely chaotic. And so, I've always kind of documented things in my life, just filmed or recorded and what have you. So I kind of ramped that up during that time, because I'm like, I don't know how this is going to end. I didn't know if we were going to pull it off or anything. It got really difficult in trying to deal with the community, because in Josh's mind, he was throwing this party for Long Beach, and who wouldn't want to go to this giant party? But a lot of people surprisingly didn't, which was odd, because after it was done, they were like, it was amazing. I was on my balcony and there was Squeeze, and I had my mimosa, and it ended up being cool. But when you're having stages built in the middle of the night, like a 24-hour building teardown process, that doesn't sound appealing, to most people. So how the documentary came about was after he had passed away. We planned his memorial, and then we were able to do 2 more festivals in his name, how we thought he would want it to be done, to kind of carry out his legacy. But we ended up going on hiatus in 2019. And at that point, I started to look through the old tapes, and we were all talking about all these stories from that time. And I just couldn't get it out of my head, like, that this needed to be told. At least I needed to get it out of my system. And also, I did not understand how I could work with somebody every day and not realize they were so close to death. And I wondered if anybody else realized it. Like, does anybody else know why he was doing what he was doing? You know, and I wanted to provide that space for everyone to just talk, because we hadn't really been able to do that. And what I got was a story that was, I don't know what I was expecting, but it definitely went beyond what I could have thought was going on with him. So it was difficult because his family has just been so wonderful and so graceful about allowing me to talk to them and tell this story. But I know it can't be easy for them, because I was trying to be very unbiased and honest, because even though he did something incredible, I didn't want to, you know, just glorify that part without the very human part of his struggles, in case there are other people that are dealing with similar things. You know, I didn't want to leave that part out in any way. So it was a delicate balance, and I hope that, you know, when people watch it, they realize that, you know, I put my whole heart into it, and I try to do it respectfully, but also honestly. So that's how that happened.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, it's also amazing that the film, I mean, if you hadn't decided to maybe like look through the footage or make a documentary, that footage would be like sitting on a shelf somewhere potentially, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, pretty amazing and kind of sad. I mean, you think other filmmakers out there who might have a similar story or a film that just haven't gone through and looked through footage or decided to, I'm going to make it happen, but you did. And you told this story. Did you have any kind of like pushback from his friends or family that were maybe hesitant with you making this documentary?
Not really, especially not at first, but like when we started digging into the more difficult parts, I didn't get pushback, but you know, I throughout the process, especially working with his widow and one of his brothers, and I would show them like the rough cuts. And I learned early on, because I had my blinders on, I wanted to get this done as quickly as possible, because my own personality, if I let things linger, like they won't get done. And so I was just like going, and I remember, I think I showed them the film, and I don't think I prefaced it like with, by the way, this might be more difficult, because obviously with so many interviews, I did like 40 plus interviews. There's information that, you know, some they didn't know. And that's when I learned, like, yes, you're telling a story, yes, you're getting this done, but like, he is their brother, their son, their husband, like it has to be delivered in a way that says, you know, I just talked to his other brother who wants to watch the film as well. And I did tell him, I was like, it is a difficult watch, you know, and he was so sweet. He's like, thank you for telling me. And, you know, that it was good that it's honest. And he basically was like, give me another couple weeks so that I can have time to kind of decompress after. So I've learned to be more gentler, instead of just being like, I'm getting this done, you know? So no pushback, but like I said, they've just been really, really wonderful. And yeah, I'm interested. I know that he has so many people who cared about him. So I am interested to see how they're going to feel about it. But again, I just tried to tell it as honestly and with as much heart as I could. So I just hope that comes through, you know, to the people who cared about him most, because that was the important thing to me. For some reason, like when I got the idea of like, maybe I might do this, it was equal parts excitement and absolute dread. Because like you said, there's so much footage that could go on the shelf, like to go through all that. And also to conduct, you know, we were doing about 4 interviews a day in the course of 2 weeks. And almost every interview, people were crying. It was a heavy dive. And, you know, to even now, I'm not even quite sure why I felt the need to do it. But now we're here. and it's been completed and people are about to see it. So I guess maybe I'll find out. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So I mean, at this point, you've shown it to some of his family, some friends, but not like a wide audience. This will be in Chagrin, kind of like the first time you get to see it with an audience. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's your first documentary, so this is all pretty new to you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And it was funny because when I worked for him, he was the kind of person who would push you. And under those situations, you'd either stretch or you'd snap. And he absolutely stretched me further than I thought I could go in a lot of ways. And even after he passed, he's still doing it, so as much as he drove me crazy at the time, I am forever grateful to him for pushing me beyond what I thought I could do. And I would never have thought of, I don't know, like I felt like I always loved documentaries, and it seemed like somewhere I'd go, but there was just this thing in me where it was like, why not? Why not try? And like that was his voice.
yeah.
So that's probably what I'll be thinking of when I'm actually in a theater with people and seeing him on screen. It's a lot of gratitude.
So what do you hope that the audience takes away from this film? Like if they're watching it, like overall, is there something you hope they either learn or can reflect on, maybe with their own lives or friends and family? Like, what do you hope the audience takes away from it?
Overall, what I was just saying, I guess, is that, the only definite no in life are the chances you don't take. Why not? He pulled something out of thin air and made it exist for thousands of people. It really, it's so hard not to go into the realm of corny. Like, you can do anything. But I really think that if you put enough into something, why not try? And I hope that people do walk away with, if they have something that they want to do, just try until you get a no. And then if you get a no, like, maybe move a little bit, try, just keep going, do whatever you feel inspired to do, because life is incredibly short. It's shorter than we think it is, so make the most of your time.
It's amazing because his passion and drive is very visible on screen. And, once you learn is he's, his health is not, like, his health is like failing or getting worse. I mean, he's still pushing through, and he's still so focused on the festival. And it's not a big, like, I'm sick, like, he's very focused, like, to accomplish his goals. So I mean, yeah, the message of life is short, make it happen. If you have a dream, like, he did it. So
Yeah,
just an amazing story.
That's the thing. That's why I think we didn't realize how sick he was, because if I was that sick, I don't think I would be showing up the way he did. But
Yeah.
This was obviously bringing people together was the most important thing to him. That was part of, even when we were doing the festival, he was still doing monthly events. He just loved bringing the community together and having good food and incredible music and just making memories. People have, compared this to Fire Festival in some ways, but like, it definitely wasn't about making money for him. It was definitely about making memories and creating that experience, for his community, whether they wanted it or not at times. But yeah, he was an incredible person, and I hope this helps people to remember him and to know about him.
Definitely. And definitely had some Fire Festival, moments watching it, like, which Fire Festival is just so over the top, hard to believe. This is like there's a lot of wild moments in this film with, I think, a stage set up backwards, or just, there's there's some very similar crazy moments, but it's much more down to earth first Fire Festival. But just amazing that you guys pulled it off, and the documentary is great. Hope everyone gets to go see it in person or watch it virtually. And Lauren, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking time to talk with me.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. It was a pleasure.